Hello, friends, and welcome to Sleep Tight Stories. Every week, we love celebrating our supporters with special shout-outs and birthday messages. It's a fun way for us to connect with all of you and learn about the amazing places you call home. A shout-out to Aida and Maverick for getting on the honor roll this quarter. Great work! Keep reading and getting good rest. Happy belated 9th birthday to Droovy on October 3rd. Hope you had fun at both your parties. Mama and Daddy love you a lot. Happy belated 7th birthday to Jackson Grace in San Diego. We're so proud of what a kind, curious, and determined girl you are. Keep reading and keep practicing tu Espanol. Mom, Dad, Aston, and Astro love you infinity squared. Happy belated 8th birthday to Evie June from Wellsville, Pennsylvania. Mommy and Daddy love you so much and are so proud of the smart, kind, and thoughtful girl you've become. Keep working to earn those Girl Scout badges. And a belated happy 8th birthday to Finley Rose from Montague, PEI. You're such an amazing kid and we love you so much. Love Mom, Dad, Miles, and Poncho, the cat. Happy 7th birthday to Cadence on November 4th from Mama, Mitch, Stella, and Hammy. Happy 7th birthday to Carla in Copenhagen, Denmark. Best wishes from Mom, Dad, and Grandmother. Happy 7th birthday to Virginia from Roanoke, Virginia. Mommy, Daddy, Charlotte, Elizabeth, and William love you very much. Love watching you dance and using your amazing imagination. Happy 10th birthday to Izzy in Westfield, New Jersey on November 4th. Mom, Dad, Ren, and Midnight love you very much and are so proud of you. Happy 8th birthday to Kennedy. Mommy, Daddy, Moose, Harley, and Teddy Bear love you and are so proud of you. Happy 7th birthday to Archer and Esther, twins from Friendswood, Texas. Hope your day was amazing, and may this year be full of exciting discoveries and fun learning. Happy 7th birthday to Penelope. You are such a kind and creative kid. We are so proud of you always. Love Mom, Dad, and Willa Jane. A happy 9th Halloween birthday to Micah. Have fun being a squishmallow. And happy birthday to Sanvi from Baba, Mama, and Kian. Our family wouldn't be what it is today without you. You are our little sunshine. Stay kind and brave. Happy birthday to you all, and thank you for supporting the show. If you'd like to support our podcast and enjoy ad-free episodes, unlock bonus stories, and so much more, you can join Sleep Tight Premium. Subscribe in just 2 taps via the link in the show notes. Now, on to our story. Red and the gang are finally looking at the Dr. Hart mystery. Alexa has scanned the journal pages for each of them, and they spend time looking at the pages and trying to figure out what Dr. Hart might have been trying to tell them. Red continues to search after they hang up, and what she finds leads to some bad dreams. The Transfer Student, Part 29. The call wrapped up quickly after Charlie's mother called him to get off his phone, and Kurt's stomach started growling. Kurt couldn't go too long without eating. After saying goodbye, Red sat in her room for a moment, torn between diving back into Dr. Hart's journal or starting on the advanced text her mom had recommended. As much as she loved studying, the mystery around Dr. Hart was too compelling to set aside. Just as she began reading, there was a knock at her door. "Red, are you still awake?" her mother asked, slowly opening the door without waiting for an invitation. A family trait, it seemed. "Yes, Mom," Red replied, hiding the fact that the journal entries were on her phone. She didn't like keeping secrets from her mother. On Mars, her family shared everything. Open discussions were the norm. But something held her back now. "I heard voices, so I thought I'd come in and check on you before bed," her mother said, sitting on the edge of Red's bed. "Yes, I was chatting with the gang," Red said, trying to sound casual. "We have a writing assignment for Mr. McCaskill, and we're, discussing the topic." "That's wonderful. I'm so glad you have friends," her mother said, looking relieved. "I worried you might shut yourself off with just books and studies. You've always had such a strong need to question and understand things, just like your father." Red blinked in surprise. She'd never thought of herself that way, and even less so of her father. He had always been calm and methodical, approaching everything with deliberate patience. On the other hand, Red felt her need to uncover the truth gnawed at her, making her restless and insistent. Where her father could spend days contemplating a single problem with quiet determination, she felt the urge to push forward, to seek answers immediately, even if it meant leaping into the unknown. "Well, they're interesting humans," Red admitted, "and I do consider them friends. But school stinks, and that yellow school bus is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Some days, I'd rather just hide away and study." Saying this felt like a small relief, like sharing something real with her mother again. Her mother nodded. "Everything will improve with time, Red. I'm sure of it. We didn't finish our conversation about Dr. Hart, and I know you're curious, but maybe it's best to let it be. Sometimes questions lead to more than we're ready to handle, and I think we've had enough excitement lately." "I'd rather not get into it before bed," Red said carefully, hoping her mother would take the hint. She did want to know more, but preferred to find answers on her own, for now. Yes, I understand," her mother's tone softened. "There's really not much more to say anyway. I do remember, though, that your father once mentioned someone on his team wasn't as reliable as he'd hoped. I think he was talking about Dr. Hart, but I didn't pay much attention to it then. It's such a faint memory," she said, her expression thoughtful. "Did you return the box to, Alexa, was it? Yes, to Alexa?" "Yes, Mom, I did," Red replied, suspicious this visit had less to do with her and more to do with probing about Dr. Hart. "Good then," her mother said, standing up. "It was just a fun little mystery. Best to put it behind us now, don't you think?" And with that, she walked to the doorway. "Don't stay up too late." Red watched her mother go, realizing that her mother's visit wasn't about a simple good night, but a way to check her interest in Dr. Hart. She leaned back against the back of her chair, her thoughts racing. Her mother coming specifically to mention Dr. Hart only made her feel that solving this mystery was more important than ever. "There's no way I'm letting this go," she thought with determination. Red opened the journal on her phone and reread the familiar passages. She looked at the line she and the gang had found, tracing it with her finger. "Look below." What did it mean? Despite her tiredness, she felt that she might find an answer if she just pushed on a bit longer. She flipped through the pages, stopping where the phrase first appeared. Each mention of sky seemed deliberate, prompting her to scan the surrounding text. Her eyes narrowed as she spotted something unusual in the footnotes. Though the print was small, one line stood out. This was the day they came to visit. She paused. They? Could Dr. Hart have been referring to Martians? Red tried to picture Dr. Hart meeting visitors, recording those meetings in secret. She could almost see Dr. Hart carefully logging each encounter, each observation, in the hope that one day someone like Red, would read between the lines. Red's gaze dropped to another line, scribbled in a faint scrawl. They stayed for an hour. They communicated without words. Her fingers tingled as she scanned the entry, realizing she'd overlooked more subtle notations like these. It is like her words are meant for only the most attentive readers, and now Red was that reader. Her hand shook slightly as she reached the bottom of the page, where a strange symbol was etched in the margin. A simple, unassuming arrow pointing down. She frowned. Following the direction, it pointed to another footnote on the next page, one she'd skimmed over before. A place remembered by the sky, hidden from those who walk below. Could look below be more than just words? Maybe Dr. Hart meant for her to find something physically hidden. Or perhaps she'd left markers on a map or coordinates. Red flipped further, finding more symbols and notes scattered throughout the journal. Each sky seemed to mark a page where something subtle was hidden, as if creating a trail that, if followed closely, could reveal places connected to Dr. Hart's encounters. She took out her own notebook, quickly sketching each symbol and jotting down the cryptic notes. This is leading me somewhere, she thought. Whatever Dr. Hart wanted her to find, it lay hidden in these clues, patiently waiting to be unearthed. But as Red continued to read, the symbols grew more intricate, and her eyes grew heavier. She stifled a yawn, her energy slipping as the clock ticked onward. There's too much here to decipher in one night, even for her, she decided, closing the journal. She'd have to revisit the geographic hints and notes tomorrow. Red felt satisfied she was a few steps closer to finding more answers. The house was quiet, with only the sound of faint giggles coming from Blue's room. Red rolled her eyes as she walked to the bathroom to get ready for bed. He was probably reading some silly comic or book instead of sleeping. She brushed her teeth, staring at her reflection in the mirror, her mind drifting. In all the months she had been on Earth, she hadn't allowed herself to dwell on missing her father. She was angry when she first realized he wouldn't be joining them. Important matters, he had said, his eyes steady but distant. Now, with everything she'd discovered, she wished more than ever that he was here to answer her questions about the AID, the resettlement program, and Dr. Hart's cryptic journal. On Mars, the culture dictated that work and survival came before personal emotions. The survival of their people was paramount, and feelings like loss or longing were set aside for the greater good. Red felt bitter. Maybe this was Earth's effect on her, this sense that it was okay to miss someone, to feel vulnerable. As she stepped out into the dimly lit hallway, Blue's door creaked open a fraction, and his head poked out, grinning mischievously. "Silly stinky head," he whispered before disappearing back inside, the door clicking shut. Red sighed, but didn't have the energy to respond. She padded into her room, set her phone and notebook on her desk, and climbed into bed. The covers felt heavy, pressing down on her as though they shared the weight of her thoughts. She did not sleep well. Her dreams were restless, filled with fragmented images, a vast inky sky lit by stars that seemed to pulse with a hidden message, a shadow-like device hovering just beyond her sight, observing her. She was back on Mars, running through the habitat with her old friends, their laughter echoing through the caverns. The air carried the familiar metallic scent of Martian soil, mingled with the sterile tang of the habitat's recycled atmosphere. In another flicker of the dream, she stood in Dr. Hart's observatory, the room filled with the subtle hum of old machinery and the faint scent of aged paper and ink. Then came the words from the journal, swirling in and out of focus. "Look below," they whispered, not from the page, but from the very stars in her dreams, their voices merging into a soft chorus. Red reached out with such urgency, but each time she tried to grab the journal, it turned to stardust and slipped through her fingers. She woke up more than once, the quiet of the house surrounding her, only to find her heart pounding and the words still whispering in her ears. "Look below." The next time she awoke, it was to the sound of her alarm, and Blue's voice singing horribly out of tune. He'd done it again. Her little brother was a genius at creating pranks. Groaning, she reached for her phone and saw that Blue had changed her wallpaper to a close-up picture of his eye. Typical. "I don't know what's worse," she muttered, "the crazy dreams I had last night or the fact that Blue is such a smart little stinker." Red dressed quickly and shuffled to the bathroom, yawning as she went. She already knew staying awake in class would be a challenge. After getting ready, she made her way to the kitchen, where Blue and her mother were already eating breakfast. "You look tired this morning, Red," her mother said, concerned. "Did you stay up late studying?" "She was probably up doing silly things because she's a stinky head," Blue said with a laugh, earning a look from Red. "No, I just didn't sleep well," Red said. "Maybe it was the thought of having to ride that yellow school bus today giving me nightmares." "Oh, Red, you exaggerate too much," her mother said, handing her a cup of tea. "Have some breakfast. You can go to bed early tonight to catch up on sleep." Red sipped her tea, the warm liquid doing little to shake off her sleepiness. At least the schoolwork didn't require much of her ability to think. She would be okay as long as she kept awake. Blue leaned back in his chair, a mischievous grin forming on his lips. "You know, Stinky Head," Blue said, "you were talking in your sleep last night. Something about a Dr. Hart and look below. What's that all about? Are you dreaming about schoolwork now?" He laughed, but Red's face turned color. Her mother's hand paused halfway to her teacup, and she glanced at Red with a look of suspicion, concern, or maybe curiosity. It was hard to tell. Red forced a casual smile, even as a chill ran down her spine. "Just a weird dream," she said quickly, trying to sound indifferent. "You know how strange Earth dreams can be." Blue shrugged. his attention already shifting to the last bites of his breakfast. But her mother's eyes lingered on Red for a moment longer, as though trying to piece together an unspoken puzzle. "Right," her mother finally said, her voice soft, but there was an edge of worry to it. "Dreams can be strange." After Red finished her breakfast, she raced to catch the bus just in time. As she boarded the bus, she saw her mother at the door watching her leave, something she hadn't done since they first arrived. And that is the end of this part. Good night. Sleep tight.